We spent 1,000 hours using AI.
And these 7 things changed everything.
Welcome back to another episode of CREview. I'm Josh. I'm here with Phil. And today we're talking about the 7 things that made AI notice us.
So the first thing is really about being clear about who you are. So you really need to help the AIs understand exactly who your company is in order to get found. So it's like a sentence that reiterates what you do as a company. So making it very clear, like we're this commercial real estate company. This is what we do. This is what we specialize in. This is who we are. These are our leaders, in very easy to understand terms, so that if someone is asking something like that, they might not be asking that specifically, but if an LLM, a ChatGPT, etc., needs to find information very easily, that's what they want. That's the way they want it framed. So that's how we need to give it to them, basically. If we're using a bunch of jargon and it's complicated and it's, there's tons of paragraphs, they're going to get that information somewhere else in a different way, which we don't want them doing. We want it to be as easy as possible. So it's really one sentence that says who you are, what you do, and who you help, and it's as simple as that.
So why does AI care about that?
It needs something to anchor to. So it needs a point where you are giving it the information and you're stating very clearly who you are and what you do. If you're not doing that in a consistent way, it starts to become messy, and there's nothing that the AI is able to basically latch onto consistently to say, okay, this is what this company does. If you're saying that you do a bunch of different things and it's, you're saying something on LinkedIn and then something different on your website, something different on YouTube, there's nothing that the AI is going to be able to consistently say, okay, this is what this company does.
So how does someone or a business actually do this?
So you want to write your one sentence, you put it in your homepage, hero, about page, footer section. You need to add it to your metadata and your schema on your website. You want to make sure your LinkedIn pages match with all of that. And you need to clean up any old or conflicting descriptions that might be out there. So the second thing is we want to make your content as easy to read for AI. If it's clunky, if it's messy, if it's in really long, big paragraphs, it's kind of lazy in a way, like it's going to ignore it. So we want to write it in very specific ways.
So how do you make content AI readable?
So you need to structure it so that it has headings. Within those headings need to be 150 to 300 word blocks of text. You need to have FAQs. So it loves to answer questions. If you've got a question and an answer, it's going to pull from that. Case studies are a really great way for it to pull information and make it readable. Problem and solution sections, because this is the way people ask questions. And then any data citations that you might have. So anything around numbers that you can add to it, it's going to pull those numbers because that gives it credibility. When you're creating this content, when you're putting it out there, you need to think about how people ask questions, because if you're writing it in that question and answer style, that's the way the AI wants to pull that information. So we're making it as easy as possible for the machine to take it and give it to the person who's asking the question.
I mean, like, this way of thinking is also not new to marketers. I mean, in the past, we thought about like blog topics and that, like what are people wanting to know or searching, or like, how-to videos or like how-to blogs and all those things. So like we have always been thinking in that way, but now I guess it seems like there's a change in structure with
there's just like very defined structure now. It's not about necessarily keywords. It's about if someone's asking a question related to your industry and your company, you need to be answering it in a structured way so that if that question comes up, an AI is able to go to your website and pull that information and then potentially cite you. But I think in commercial real estate at the moment, there is a lot of opportunity, because the cool thing about it is that it's a lot of the stuff in commercial real estate is location based and location specific. So if people are asking for about a specific location, and all your competitors are not structuring their content and their websites in this way, you have a massive advantage because you're probably going to be one of the only sources that AI is going to pull information from. If you can do that, it's a huge advantage already.
Yeah. It's like investing in Bitcoin in 2000 and...
Look, this is just the second of the 7 things. So like there are 17 things actually that you should be looking at, but these are the 7 things that are actually quite achievable for a marketing team, marketing person. And even then, there's no guarantee, and it's still a difficult thing because there are bigger companies that are going to win a lot of the time. But we've all got to start thinking this way. We've got to start structuring everything we do because this is how people are doing research now.
If you're still watching, please like and subscribe, and let's get into the rest of the 7 things.
The third thing is video. So you want to say it out loud. So video plus transcripts, that's really important.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm glad to hear that with video being like my primary function of my job. So that's reassuring.
Video is really important.
Why does AI care about video?
It says it trusts video more than blog content because I guess anyone can write anything in a blog and put it on a website.
Especially using AI to write those. Yeah.
So it trusts video content because, especially if there's someone talking and it's from a credible source, it will use YouTube as a credible source because it's such a big platform. It understands that, okay, a lot of people are talking on this channel, so I can use that information as an answer. If you're using transcripts, so basically taking the transcript of your video, you upload it with that video, it will pull that data. Video is such a massive part of the world we live in and the algorithms. So even the Google answers that you're getting, those Google AI answers, it can suggest video content as well based on what you're asking it. So video, not just from an algorithm social content point of view is important, it's also really important from an AI point of view. And if you're boosting video content, the AIs like that a lot because it's seen to be getting a lot of views and a lot of traction. It doesn't know that it's not organic. So when we started boosting these videos, our shorts, we started putting a little bit of money behind them. Our leads from ChatGPT started to increase a lot. And we were getting really, really good quality leads. So it just shows you how important video content is, not just from a marketing point of view, but for these AIs as well. It's really, really important.
So what is the simplest way to do this?
So for video content, you want to make short videos that answer industry questions relating to your company. You want to turn on transcripts within YouTube, so add those transcripts. You want to repeat your identity sentence so that AIs know who you are and why you're talking about this. So that's from task 1. And then keep the messaging quite consistent throughout your video content based on the topics. So the fourth thing that we want to do to help AIs find us is answering questions that people ask AI. So I kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but when your content matches the questions that people are asking, the AI is able to link your brand to those questions and answers. So you want to make that connection. You don't want to be answering questions that no one asks around your industry, because if they're not asking it in AI or on Google, then there's no point in doing it. So it's really important that you've got an FAQ section on your website that asks and answers all these questions. You're going to give yourself a better chance of being found. The fifth thing that we want to do is build evergreen content. Evergreen content basically means that it's not time sensitive. It can last a really long time. And then if someone searches it in next year or in 3 years' time, the answer is still relevant. It's not related to
an event or a
period or event or something.
So why is evergreen content important for AI?
AI doesn't like time-sensitive content because it's outdated. It gets outdated too quickly. So it needs topics that are evergreen. Anything that is a news story. So if you're asking it for news stories, that's fine. It'll source news stories. But if you're asking industry-related questions that people want to understand answers to, it's going to look for content that isn't time sensitive. It's going to ignore that content because that's going to be outdated in a week, in a day, in a month, whatever. So that's why Evergreen is so important to AI.
I think especially if you're thinking long term, like it's cool. I'm thinking like a brokerage put out a market report for Q4 2025, and at that time that might help them then and there. But if you're thinking about investing in being discoverable for AI, long term, then that's, you won't put all your focus into.
But if people are asking about market reports for 2025, it will pull that information, but you've got to make sure that you're updating that information. If the AI sees that the schema on your site hasn't been updated in a long time, it's not going to pull from that report anymore. So you've got to keep updating those numbers. If it sees that you're updating it, it's going to be happy and it's going to be fine with it. Then it's going to keep pulling.
Damn.
Yeah, smart.
So how do you build one of these pages?
You want to pick 1 to 2 topics. You want to build very detailed explanation pages on that topic. Like I said, you want to update it yearly, more often if you can. But then you want to keep that structure very clean, like we spoke about earlier, in those blocks, in those questions. So you want to, it really loves this very comprehensive evergreen type of content. The 6th thing is that you want to get proof from the outside world. So you want more credible sources for your content, not just the stuff that you're writing on your own, because you can write whatever you want.
Holy Moses, AI cares about people, and they actually know that we are the creators and they trust what people say. For now, yeah, until they've mastered our brains.
Until they've written everything and then they're citing themselves.
Yeah. Why do you think AI cares about what people say?
So AI builds trust from third-party validation. So it's fine. You can make your own claims on your website and you can write all of that stuff, but it also needs to validate it through other places to make sure that it's credible, right? Because otherwise you can just lie and say whatever you want. So that external proof provides credibility for AI, which is what it needs. So if you can do that, you're going to add that extra bump, that extra layer that it's going to love. It loves that. Absolutely loves that third-party credibility.
What counts as external proof?
LinkedIn thought leadership. Social media, not as much, but it is still fairly important. Podcasts, getting onto podcasts, that's really cool, creating your own podcast. But industry articles is a really big one. So think BizNow, Real Deal, all those publications. If you can start putting content on those publications, getting it out there, the AIs absolutely love that because it's a massively credible source of information. PR mentions, so if you're able to do any PR work with publications, etc., that's really cool. And then just like consistent bios across different websites that aren't your own, where you're being maybe spoken about, or you've got a profile on those different websites. It's going to look at all of this and be like, okay, this is a real company. They know what they're talking about. So it's safe for me as an AI to pull that information. And then the last thing is that you want to show results with numbers. AI likes the numbers.
Why do they like the numbers?
It makes what you're saying verifiable. It gives it like a proof. So while we've gone third-party proof, all those things, anything that it can build proof around. It's like, if you're saying this because of this and these are the numbers, then it's like, oh, that helps it tell its story really nicely.
So how would you build a good case study?
So using the numbers to build a good case study, because that's how you want to provide the numbers, right? You can't just have random numbers on your website, but you want to look at the challenge. So what was the challenge that your client had maybe? What was the solution that you came up with? And then what was that outcome? And then so the results of that outcome in numbers format. It needs these 4 or 5 things. And I can see, okay, this company had this challenge. They provided this solution, and these were the measurable results. So it's going to potentially use that information when it's giving that answer. And now, look, you're not going to get cited by the AIs and referenced every single time, but people might say, hey, I want you to reference that, like what companies are doing this well. And if you're writing it in that way and you're providing all of these different 7 things, you're going to give yourself a way better chance of being there when people are doing that research. And what we are calling, are you being considered when people are making these decisions? And that's what we've been kind of banging the drum about on, for the last month, like last few months. So.
And how can they consider you if you're not on the menu?
If they're doing all this research and all your competitors are coming up, and because you're not doing this stuff, majority of people are making decisions in this stage where they're asking AI and asking Google and are you coming up? Are you actually being considered in these answers? So that's where we're trying to get you. That's like the point of this. Are you visible when people are doing research on your industry?
So these are the 7 tasks that made the biggest impact in our 1,000 hours of testing. If this helped you, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Adios.
Adios.